how has Neytiri changed? She's dealing now with a great sense of loss after bearing a child, and she's questioning everything. She's questioning why she is here, what they're doing, why they're doing it, and she's also trying not to question her faith. They always say that when a mother loses a child, half of her is buried with that child. Doesn't even matter if she has still living children. She half of her will be buried with them. And Neytiri very much was buried with Nateya. She's finding reasons to stay and to find purpose all over again. So I think that what's driving her character in this film is it's two very conflicting feelings, but they still carry the same amount of depth, which is it's love and it's grief. Yeah.
The performance capture technology was I think a puzzle for me in my mind, but as soon as I put the suit on and started, filming, it was like being back in drama school, in the theater, in the playground. It was so very freeing when you don't have to think about the angle of the camera, you don't have to think about the light, you don't have to time anything with anybody else, you're just in constant close-up, constant wide shot. It is so magnificent to not think about anything except your performance. And that was one of the greatest gifts that I've ever received, is to be able to work with such incredibly talented and skilled and masterful people. In this way. It's been a great school for me. And Varang, she's a fantastic character. She's very spicy, she's very different to me, but she taught me a lot about my relationship with power, and her relationship with power. It was a very big teacher for me, and she likes power over others because not having power makes her feel unsafe. And because she's looking for power outside of herself, by dominating instead of by being really present and really truthful to what's going on inside of her. And so by exploring the real kind of opposite end to the way that I want to live my life, it really helped me go back into my own self and be like, wow, okay, so from this place, like, what is power? What is my relationship with power? And how can I utilize this as also an opportunity to grow, and I respect her a lot. And Varang, and Neytiri too, but they're both such fierce warriors, and they're both very, very smart and brave.
Expect to be taken for an amazing ride that is thrilling from beginning to end. Expect to feel the highs and lows of what the Sully family will endure in Fire and Ash, and expect to just watch it in theaters under that amazing screens, those huge screens that allow you to really feel like you are traveling to Pandora. I'll let you answer that.
I think the mythology it's interesting because it's not really mythology; it's reality for the Na'vi, and I think it's reality for a lot of people here. Is our intrinsic connection to one another. I feel that really deeply, and it resonates with me really deeply. And obviously, I don't feel it in the same way that the Na'vi do, but there is something about that understanding of like the way that life is sacred and we are all alive and therefore we are all connected and it's all happening at the same. It's like, one end of the worm talking to the other end of the worm says, hey, how you doing? It's like, well, I'm just your other end, or, it's, it's good. But it's, we're all a part of the same thing, and I think Ewa is here, is everywhere. I think that's beautiful, and I think that it's real. It's not myth at all.
When you find Jake at the start of the movie, it's almost like a direct bridge from the second film. So his son's passed away, and he's struggling to find hope and direction. And within that, he's going to have to try to keep his family even safer, because that's his mantra, that his family is his fortress. Unfortunately, the fortress has been destroyed, and now he has to rebuild. and his relationship with the other clans is there's plenty of clans in Pandora, and the Monk-Wan are probably one of the darkest that he's ever encountered. And it's, you know, he then has to kind of figure out a way to not only stop the RDA, the humans, from coming, but he also has to stop the evil Na'vi from helping them.
At the beginning of this film, Quaritch has been humbled at the close of the when last seen, but he rises and lives to fight another day, and that's something that Quaritch, I think, is probably very adept at. That it's quite, you can lose the battle, but don't lose the war. I think that is probably his mantra going into this. And then when he encounters the Ash people, the Monk-Wan clan, he sees something he sees a possibility in there. I think it's a great kind of kick and revelation to him to understand that not every clan in Pandora is as kind of positive and, tree-hugging, as it were, as the clans we've met hither, previously. That these are beings that he can relate to. These are warriors or war-oriented. These are people who seem to like war in a way that kind of works for him. He finds it darkly alluring, it seems to me. So, one door closes, another one opens for Quaritch, it seems to me. I think what they can expect is if they fell in love with the world of Pandora from Avatar and from Avatar Way of Water, I think they're going to be absolutely enthralled with Fire and Ash because the stakes are higher, the emotions are deeper and in play. The violence is greater, the beauty is as intensely beautiful as it ever was. It's just more, it's a feast of a film, an absolute feast of a film.
I like the connectivity, like the fact that they're all connected, even those that have passed to the other side. You can connect and still be with them. This shared unity. I
like the fact that all the creatures on Pandora are given equal weight. That no one is better than anyone else because they can speak a language or because they can do something that another creature can't do. That there's a sacred aspect to all the creatures on Pandora. We could use more of that on planet Earth.
I think what audiences can expect from seeing Avatar Fire and Ash on a big screen is a cinematic experience like no other.
I agree with that. No, I agree. It's going to be, it's the best way to see it. It's a big movie in every sense, and you really want to get the biggest screen you possibly, and you want to plant yourself right in the middle with a big thing of popcorn and just lose yourself for 3 hours and 17 minutes in the most enthralling world of cinema you're ever going to encounter. That's what I think.
Oh, God. There's such wonderful challenges. It's a great question. I luckily had a year before I had to, actually do Way of Water. And I spent a lot of time just standing or moving, just going back to how I felt physically at 14. I remember it very well because I was this tall when I was 11, so I was like, hiding and not. I was funny, so I survived, but I think like many adolescents, it was a painful time. And so I really could relate to Kiri, especially she's mixed race, especially she doesn't know who her father is, and she can't be in touch with Ewa the way every other Na'vi is. And all these things are on her shoulders, and yet the family really are refugees. There's no time to sit and figure these out. So what's what I loved about seeing the film, which I saw yesterday, is I feel she comes into her own because of these crises. They all do. They all grow. They all find out they're much more, this is the children, find out they're capable of much more than they thought. And I do think that's adolescence. Well, they're still staying with the Metkayina, the water clan, and we're still, experiencing the joys of, zooming underwater and playing with the tulkun. But very quickly, we have to move on, and we get to be in these beautiful floating ships called Medusoids with the wind traders. And so you get to see more of Pandora. And then, of course, all hell breaks loose, basically. And we meet the Ash clan, and they don't even believe in Ewa. And it's magnificently played by Oona Chaplin. Varang is a really fierce and, I think, damaged character. And she doesn't mind killing her own people or killing our people. But it's a terrific adventure, as well as these, stories of, a real marriage, real love stories, all these things he's interwoven in the most extraordinary way. But I have to say, it's the most incredible ride I've ever been on. I mean, I'm sure it's the same, but the 3D is so amazing. You're always falling, diving, swimming. It's just glorious physically to go on. Well, he's such a sweetheart. He does these huge movies, but I think he especially loves these movies because he created a technology that would allow us as actors and him as a director to just work very closely without all the impediments of scenery and makeup, hair, cinematography, different setups, blah, blah, blah. Those can take a lot of time. And in this, we're just like at an early theater rehearsal where the characters are finding out what's going on, what they need to do, what they should avoid. I mean, it's just such an amazing pro-actor process. And I think that's what Jim feels about this, is we're also a family, the Avatar family, and he loves giving us, enriching our characters. I think Jake and Neytiri and their marriage is one of the strongest things in the movie. It's a real world. That, they're a mixed race family. They're on the run. They get separated. So much happens to them, and it's not shied away from. It's not like, oh, Pandora's an unreal place. It feels very real to me, even though it's very beautiful. Well, I would say the connection with nature is something I've always had, and it is my happy place. I think that's true more and more for people, to get away from the madness and go outside and just see what a miracle is going on in the park nearby, or the forest nearby, or the seashore. We have big challenges, but I think Pandora reminds us of what a primeval planet is like, and encourages us to see the beauty all around us, no matter where we live. And we get to go on this ride with this family, who are all very different, but yet are one. And that's really challenged a lot in these movies, especially in this one. The kids have to, come to grips with these, they're separated from their parents at one point or several points, and they have to lead themselves, which I think for, teenagers is just like, really? Isn't anyone going to come and rescue us? And we have to rescue ourselves. And it's through these experiences that I think, certainly Kiri comes into her own and becomes more confident. Well, I have to say, after seeing it last night, it is the most amazing ride I've ever been on. I mean, half the time I was like this because it was just, I almost feel like you have to see it twice. You have to see it to experience it and be, up in the air, under the sea, or blah, blah, blah. So much to take in. Then you have to kind of go back and see it again and go, what was that? Because I feel it is this incredible ride physically to be in these different worlds, and it's so nonstop. You almost have to remember to breathe because it's so exciting and so moving and so full of joy. We have a really good time, the family, when we're not in danger. So.
At the beginning of the film, he is at the Metcaina village, and it has just been Natam's funeral, and he and Kiri and the family are really trying to mentally recover and process the grief and everything that's happened.
We find Tsireya at the beginning of Avatar Fire and Ash trying to console Lo'ak and really trying to be there and support him and support the Sully family as they are recovering from the loss of Neteyam.
At the beginning of Avatar Fire and Ash, Took is really figuring out how to process her grief with her family. She's seeing each of her family members and the people that she cares about, like her chosen family, Tsireya, all deal with this in a very different way. And she herself doesn't really know how to process it because it's her first time dealing with death and departure. And just as she thinks she can just take a breath, she is launched into things getting more and more complicated all over again. And she's just trying to keep the family motto going. But it somehow feels like the Sullys just can't stick together, but they won't ever quit.
The hardest physical skill for me to master when filming was freediving. I barely knew how to swim when starting the Avatar training, and I quickly learned, but I definitely dreaded that training. We had dialect training, archery, parkour, gym sessions, but freediving was definitely difficult, but I overcame it, and I'm very proud of myself.
Sorry, yeah, for me. I think the hardest skill was probably either the scuba and the full face mask, which was a very cool piece of technology that they made for the film, or just the parkour, because the free running, the amount of running Spider does in this film is insane, and the amount of vines he sweeps through and branches he jumps over is a lot, and I really, really wanted to make sure that I delivered a performance that was believable, that Spider has been in the jungle his whole life, and it's second nature to him.
The hardest physical skill for me to master when filming, I think, was freediving, because even though I loved the water, I'd been swimming for a long time by that time, I was not exactly sure how to approach freediving when it came to breath work and being at insane depths. And most of all, just being able to forget all of that and dive into my character and just be in that moment with her. But I think soon after getting the training, I was able to just really forget about all of it and go underwater and be like, I'm Took, I'm in this with my fam, and this is what's going on. And so that was something that was really fun. I had a hard time with parkour. I was just like Took with her siblings. I just wanted to keep up with all the older kids. And so that was something I think I had to go through the training to get a little more coordinated, but I was really excited about every aspect of training. The physical skills really gave me so much physicality to input into Took and just get into her body, but then also think about how I put that through the Took filter and where I go from there.
I love the Ekrons, Banshee, whatever you want to call them, and the Turuk Ekron, this giant behemoth monster of a thing. I love it so much, and to me, I was born to fly on a Banshee. I mean, that really is something that is just so me. When every time I see it, I just know it just feels so right.
Yeah. I really want to fly on an Ekron, so I really relate to Jack's answer on that. I think my favorite part of Pandora's mythology is all of the girl power in it. So not only do we have some really, really cool female characters, from Neytiri to Ronal to Tsireya to Tuk to Kiri, and even the bad side of things, Varang. They're just all such leaders and these powerful characters, and I love seeing that representation. But even the Tulkun, they have their matriarch, and Pandora itself is the great mother, Ewa. So I think that aspect is really cool.
I'd say the spirituality of Pandora and the idea that we're all connected and that we all have a place on this planet for a reason is definitely a big part of Pandora's mythology that resonates with me personally.
Yeah. Audiences can expect a wild ride. It's going to be a very emotional journey. There's so much hope as well as darkness in this film, and I think it's so interesting to explore because we really get to peel all the layers of these characters and dive even deeper into them. Also see more of this world of Pandora and realize that we only we only saw the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all that Pandora is, all of the people that live in Pandora and all the people that are coming to live in Pandora, really. But audiences are going to have a wild ride, and they're going to love it so much because this movie is pretty fire.
Audiences can expect... I'm honestly at a loss for words because Avatar Fire and Ash is so beautiful, and it's a part of legacy. It's a part of Jim Cameron's legacy, and it's also a part of cinema's legacy. Audiences can expect to fall in love and be reminded of the beautiful parts of our relationships and how complex they are, but also the beauty of forgiveness and how compassion is a well that is very deep. We just have to know how to access it.
I think audiences can expect from seeing Fire and Ash is just happiness, whether you like happiness, sadness, action, if you like music. I mean, it really has almost anything that you can just go and watch with your family, your friends, by yourself. It is such an immersive experience that I think you have to go to the theater and enjoy.
Okay, as an audience, what you could expect on the big screen is the obvious, immersion, right? It fills your field of view. It's in 3D. It's 3 hours long. It takes you into a world and with characters that feel real, because we're very proud of not only the technology but the acting and the performances that bring these characters to life in a way that they just feel like real people. Sure, their eyes are bigger and they've got, you know, these big ears and that sort of thing, but they're very emotive. They'll pull you into their story, and I think you'll find that it's a very emotional journey. So to me, all those things, the big screen, the great sound, the 3D, the imaginative imagery and everything pulls you in, and then you go on a personal journey. And what we're hearing and what we're being told is that it's extremely emotional, and that people are crying and they're having almost a very cathartic effect as they go through the experience of this film. Between the first Avatar and the sequels, and it's important to remember that Fire and Ash is the second part of a story that's told between The Way of Water and Fire and Ash, and it kind of completes a story cycle. Between the first film and the sequels, we spent 5 years and tens of millions of dollars developing a much more advanced facial pipeline. We call it the pipeline, but what it really means is what those actors do, what they felt, every tiny detail, every tear, every tiniest bit of expression makes it into the final character absolutely undiminished. And so you feel it, you feel their heart. I would say it's even enhanced because the size of their eyes is like the window into the soul of these characters is even more enhanced. It's not something that we add on top of the performance, it's just the nature of the character. So if you thought of it as digital makeup, that would be the healthiest way to think of it. We're all familiar with makeup, Star Trek, Star Wars, Elephant Man, everything where an actor is changed for a role. Our actors come in, they look physically the same when we capture them, but in the final film, they look like their characters, Jake, Neytiri, Kiri, and so on. So Kiri is an amazing case in point. You have Sigourney Weaver, who was 70 and 71 across the period that we were capturing these films, and she appears 15. She is a 15-year-old in the movie. That's the power of acting, and I'm so proud of our actors in this film for what they did, and I'm so proud of our technology group for how they were able to preserve those performances without diminishment into the final image. So as a director, as a writer-director, I kind of want to will this thing out of my imagination onto the screen. I can't do that myself. First of all, I need my cast to interpret those characters. So those have become amazing creative alliances over time with Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldaña and some of the others that are from the first film. That's been a 19-year journey. For the younger actors and some of the new actors that have come in on the sequels, it's been an 8-year journey. We've become a family. Our acting community, which also includes a small troupe of players that play multiple different characters, it's a small group, and we feel like we're a family. So it's a movie about a family. It's got a family behind the camera as well. Some of the other alliances that are very important is with, for example, Weta Effects and ILM, the two major VFX houses that are able to interpret these, take this character data that we capture and turn it into what appear to be living, breathing characters in a fictitious world. That's an important alliance. We have a great alliance with New Zealand, just filming in New Zealand and having their support and the support of their government rebate program in New Zealand. That's been an important alliance. A very critical creative alliance for me was with my producing partner, John Landau. That was a 33-year creative relationship. It ended, unfortunately, last year when John died in the middle of making this film. So this is his last film. And ironically, it's a film about grief and loss and how people process it and how they get through it and how they get to a more hopeful place in their lives. And that's been very healing, I think, for all of us working on the film, trying to make John proud, if you will, of this film. So we have two new clans. We have the Wind Traders, and they are nomadic people that trade all around the world, and they fly. Well, they don't personally fly. They have these vehicles that are basically lifted by these gigantic creatures that are kind of like a floating jellyfish. We call them medusoids, and they even have almost what you'd consider to be like a tugboat that's a creature called a wind ray, and they can guide it, and they can fly in these amazing caravans. And I personally, the 14-year-old version of myself, would love to run away with the Wind Traders and fly with them around the world of Pandora. And we see our young kid characters go off with them on a journey. So that's a big adventure. And then we have, on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have what we call the Ash people, or the Mungkwan clan. And the Mungkwan are very dark and down-twisted Na'vi characters. So not all Na'vi are good and fully virtuous. These are people that have turned their backs on Ewa. They feel fully justified because they've had a very traumatic experience. A volcanic eruption completely buried their homeland, and all their tribal lands are now dead because of ashfall and lava flow over that region. And so they take it out on everybody else around them. So they've become essentially a raiding culture, and they attack the other clans, including the Wind Traders. So that puts those two at odds. And of course, for storytelling purposes, our Sully family winds up right in the middle when it all turns to hell. I think the part of the mythology that we've created around Pandora is this idea that everything is connected and unified into a fully functional system. I believe that of nature. I don't really believe that nature is intelligent per se, but I think there's a kind of an innate wisdom in the way that nature has its own built-in checks and balances. And of course, the metaphor of the film is that human beings arrive as a colonizing and conquering force, and they disrupt all that, and they put the world out of balance. And the thing that the Na'vi believe in above everything else is what they call the Great Balance. And on Pandora, the Great Balance is actually represented by a deity that they call Ewa. And in our story, Ewa is an actual sentience, an actual consciousness. We don't have an Ewa on Earth. Ewa would have slapped us and stopped us a long time ago from what we're doing right now, but we don't have Ewa, so we have to create our own our own inner Ewa, I think, if we're going to survive on this planet.